Yes, gentlemen, good afternoon and good Sunday to one and all. It is Ole Talk. It is Sunday service, and we are here just to have a good time. We're going to talk some football, but obviously, first and foremost, as United fans, we received some news on Saturday morning that legend, the one and only Sir Bobby Charlton, passed away yesterday morning. And it hit the world of football. Not only just Manchester United fans, but fans from across the world. Whether they were fans of England, I even saw Barcelona had a minute of silence for Sir Bobby
Hmm.
Charlton, right? But yeah, this was the news that we received yesterday morning of Sir Bobby Charlton's passing. If anybody doesn't know, Sir Bobby Charlton was a survivor of the Munich air disaster. He's a World Cup winner. He is also a Manchester United legend, right? I don't think any of us on this panel got the opportunity or privilege to see him play live, whether it was through TV or I don't know social media. But we may have seen one or two clips of him of his highlights, right? So just wanted to start off the show on that note. Um, what do you guys think per se with regards to Sir Bobby passing? How did you take it?
End of
Uh,
an era.
no, go ahead, sorry.
It truly is the end of an era. It will be very strange for me to see things connected to Manchester going forward without Sir Bobby being involved because for my entire period of my being a fan of Manchester United, Sir Bobby has been a constant to that, right? I mean, I've finally, I can't even say I'm getting used to not seeing Sir Alex around, as we know his wife passed away recently, and he would obviously be taking some time to deal with that. But Sir Bobby was a guy I think as big as Sir Alex is, Sir Bobby even dwarfed that. Right? He is the I want to keep a line from Gary Neville, and he said Sir Bobby is the golden thread that connects the generations from Sir Matt's generation into Sir Alex's generation and to the now generation. It is a void the club will not ever be able to fill. I think so. I would just like to move a toast to the great man, with drinks in hand, badge on chest, in eternal peace, may so Bobby rest.
Hmm. Well said. Um, yeah, I know what the other guys thought per se. Yeah, drinks in hand for sure. Toast, toast to the celebration and life of Sir Bobby Charlton.
It's a pity we don't all have a little Guinness because he was a proud man, Guinness would have been the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Listen,
you're saying something,
everything
Jeff? Or
Zahel,
Yeah.
oh, you hearing me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everything Zahel just expressed there is my sentiments exactly. When I came to start to follow Manchester United, I was um don't ask me the year, but it was in Eric Cantona's first year, right? And I was always seeing, well, I know Fergie, Sir Alex Ferguson, but I was always seeing this gentleman around, right? Almost almost every game, and I always wondered who he was. And when I learned who he was, right, I got the background information to how he became, right. And I'm not gonna lie, right. I often wondered how his feelings were after that Munich air disaster. And just reading the history after like when the team formed back and everything to go on and win for him to go on and win the World Cup, the European Cup, I think, well, Champions League, but it was European Cup at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just stayed there with the club right through, right through till I mean, when I hear especially the young players speak of him, I said this man was just more than something special. He was really Mr. Manchester United, right? And oh, the holy, I don't want to use that word. Let me just say the Trinity has reunited. They're playing on heaven's side now.
Well, actually, Dennis Law not dead yet, huh?
Serious?
No, Dennis
My
still very
bad.
much alive. Don't put him on in that early grave.
Yeah,
Eh,
real thing, Dennis. Lost still around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but
I haven't seen him
I get,
in.
I get what Cass is saying though, in regards to the Trinity,
Yeah.
right? But yeah. Any word, CJ, before we move along, or
Um, the only thing I could say is that my no, I knew he was always there, but my early recollection and my only proper recollection of Bobby Charlton as a United fan growing up, because I'm fairly young compared to a lot of you. Um, when we won the 2008 Champions League and they brought on Bobby Charlton and the survivors of the Munich air disaster, my father then explained that, oh, that was the air disaster, and I was like, oh, the air disaster. He's like, yeah, that's the old legends. And by that time, it kind of was like, you know what? Let me get to know my club even more. And the more that I got into the history, the more I got to realize that Bobby Charlton really is and was Mr. Manchester United. From getting up, from being part of that crash, where he saw his friends perish, he saw the club go under tumultuous problems. I mean, he could have hanged up his boots, he could have gone to our next club, but he stayed at Manchester United. He stayed within the project, and it was fitting that in the game that, although yes, it was tough, that his favorite shot was outside the box, a long distance Bobby Charlton shot that we wanted from a long distance shot. I mean, it's poetic, but it really does show you that he really had the club. He was the top scorer at the club. He was overtaken by Wayne Rooney. And within that, he saw his club change. I don't know if he saw it for better or worse, but he was there. He was there for everything. He was there being with the club. He was the man for Manchester United. And we're going to miss him because, crazy enough, when Marcus Rashford tribute came out, it was crazy how his legacy does extend even to this new generation. Because Marcus Rashford and a lot of United fans and kids were in a commercial, and when Marcus Rashford said he had the privilege of meeting Bobby Charlton at that time, I was like, that's crazy, though. Who would have thought that this man would have met the past players, the present players, and even the future players who are now the present players? And it shows how much he cared for the club. And when everybody could look at your legendary status and say they were positively affected by it, in all your interactions with anyone from the kit man, from the people working in the staff room, that you were always a gentleman. I think that's the one thing that also means, if not means more, because this was a human being who cared for others and cared for his club, and we will miss him. So yeah.
yeah, well said. Once again, our condolences to Sir Bobby's friends, family, and loved ones. But Sir Bobby Charlton gone, but not forgotten. Okay, so now that that is aside, let us talk some football, right? We could talk about the games this weekend. Doesn't have to be only Manchester United, but we can start there since we are Old Talk / United Hour.
Yeah.
Yesterday, We were the final fixture on Saturday at 3 p.m., where we played Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Final score ended up being Manchester. So Sheffield United won, Manchester United 2. Goals from Scott McTominay again, and then a rocket or a curler from Diego Dallo to give us the winner, right? And obviously, before the start began, there were the players coming up with wreaths to celebrate the life of Sir Bobby Charlton, and I know the players would have done this, would have had this on their mind when approaching 90 minutes of football versus Sheffield United, right?
Hmm.
What were your thoughts on the game, guys? Was there any point in time where you saw a winner coming? Um, have we started playing football as yet? I know there's a lot of questions all in one, but feel free to answer which one you choose. Right? Like for example, what was your thoughts on the game yesterday?
Well, I didn't get to see the game, right?
Hmm.
But that's when I came home after my event, I watched some extended highlights. But I was privy to the team sheet when it came out, and it left some question mark. And I wondered, okay, Scott McTominay, yeah, he deserved his start, right? Not just for what he did in the last game for club, but his performances for country, right? There is some level of consistency there, and you had to reward it, right? He deserves a start because of our injury. Otherwise, I would have still preferred him coming off the bench, right? Harry Maguire, I don't know, I don't know what juice he's drinking, but judging from the highlights, right, and then end up reading that he get man of the match. I say what? And then there was this stat with Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans has had, gosh, I vexed I didn't screenshot it, but he had about 14, 14 victories every time he starts from Man United, right? Now, this is the second straight United game that pairing has started.
Hmm.
If if they start against Copenhagen in Champions League, that is the pairing that is gonna be against Man City, because Onana has never had, until this weekend, uh the same back line in front of him, right? And then judging from the highlights, there was it's like it was a competition to see who could hit the post the most,
Yeah,
right?
boy.
And if those goals would have gone in, it would have been brilliant team goals. But again, we end up having to rely on just that one magic moment, just like we did against Burnley. Thank God for Delo, right? But speaking of Delo, when we think about that Man City game and what I have seen this Man City winger Doku has been doing, I hope Ambasaka available this week.
I think
Right?
yes,
But
I think yes, the lineup possibly for Man City if Regulon is fit, then Regulon will start. Other than that, it will be Lindelof. It'll be the same backline as yesterday. So Lindelof on the left, Delo on the right, and then Maguire and Johnny Evans um, as a combined centre back pairing, right? So um, let me ask Zahir and CJ different questions. How after yesterday's performance, how do you guys feel with regards to going into? I'll start at Copenhagen, right? Um, yeah, how do you guys feel?
Well, I don't expect that it will be Harry and Johnny against Copenhagen because we must win both legs against Copenhagen. To lose or draw either or both, we will be out of the next stage of the Champions League and out of even finishing in third spot to go to Europa. So the two Copenhagen games are must wins. Sandwiched in between them is the Manchester Derby. So if you have to get Rafa ready for the Manchester Derby, he has to play midweek here against Copenhagen. In terms of Wan Bissaka, the boss keeps saying it's a long-term thing, so I can't pin any hopes on him being available. And then if he is now coming back from an injury, the worst game to throw him in is against Jeremy Doku on the right-hand side for Manchester City. So it looks like we gotta hope that Dalo channels his whatever he needs to channel, and we gotta double up on him, man. Somebody gotta run with that man, like how he used to in the old days, stick a man on a man and tell him, hey, anyway that man go, you gotta go. That is what we may have to do. We may have to play extremely ugly, but the tactics against Copenhagen midweek could give us an idea of what's coming on Sunday because I don't expect that Scott will start midweek. If he does, I don't expect he's going to play the 90 minutes. Right? I honestly, hand to heart, would not have started Rashford against Sheffield United. I would have started Garnacho and probably let him run at them, stretch them a little bit.
Just curious, Zahir, who's your back four against Copenhagen? Just curious.
Against Copenhagen, if Regulon plays,
Yeah.
from left to right, we'd go Regulon, Varane, Maguire, and Dallo. And I'm giving Harry his flowers because he had a good international break and he had a good solid game yesterday. The goal that we conceded had nothing to do with the back line. So the back line is off the hook for the penalty that was given. Right?
Agreed.
So I had to give the man his props, right? Take away the penalty and you can effectively say the back line kept a clean sheet. Right? So I'd play Harry against Copenhagen simply for the fact that I don't know if Johnny could hold up to all those minutes back to back, and I don't have any other option because Lindelof may be needed if you want to make a change at right back with Dallo or Reguilon at left back. We don't know if Reguilon will be able to run the 90 minutes. If he does start, so you might need to switch Dallo over there and bring Victor on the right. So we have all sorts of tinkering to do, but that would be me. I would go Reguilon and Dallo as the fullback with Harry and Varane in the middle.
What are you thinking, CJ? I think you're about to say something.
Oh, well, I checked up. They say possible dates for them to come back. Kobe Mainoo's coming back on the Copenhagen. Regulon is coming back. Wan-Bissaka might be November, sadly, and the rest is December and January. But Luke Shaw coming back November as well. So, but for me, with these for the return of Regulon and Casemiro, not Casemiro, Regulon and Mainoo, I would kind of do the same thing because many people say they want Kobe Mainoo to come in for the game, but at the same time, I'm not really trying to rush anybody to come back, especially how injuries go. I mean, yeah, it's a season you want to salvage some things, but at the same time, you have to think about some things long term. And for me, I think with the players we have at our helm now, regarding yesterday, I think yesterday kind of showed us that something was there, especially coming down to the second half. We were creating more chances. We were looking. It wasn't exact football, but when we were going forward, sometimes we just had that final finishing touch. But the finishing is mainly the problem. For me personally, I think you could try do the same thing. If he wants to bring Kobe Mino into the game, okay. But for me, I'd rather not just rush him. But that back line, I go the same backline as Zahir says, because honestly, it's not a bad backline. It would work.
Okay, interesting. Let me get to some comments. We haven't forgotten about the comments. Um, Courtney, good afternoon to you as well. He's saying good afternoon, gentlemen. So Zahir is asking Courtney was the vibes. Um, Based on yesterday's game, I guess Courtney is saying that we were lucky. Um, I guess I would say we were a bit unlucky because we did have some shots that hit the post and what's not. But it is what it is, right? That's football for you, right? Ashton Lee Quay, or is it Key? Good afternoon to you. Saying Big Phil, you remember the last old talk I said Sheffield United? Yeah, I remember. I remember you saying that because at the end of the day, Sheffield United were in 20th position. They still are, and they have nothing to lose, right? So said, so done, right? And then last two comments from Courtney, where Courtney is saying, "Don't think Dallo it was a good shot, but the keeper should have done better." Um, I see where you're coming from, but hey, we could take it all day, every day, and I think that is at least the second or third time Dallo has scored a goal similar from that distance, right? So, um, and then final comment from Courtney where he said Evans went off injured yesterday. Interesting. Um, you guys watched any other games yesterday on the weekend? I myself took in the I didn't take it fully, but when I was coming back from the gym, I saw it was Chelsea 2, Arsenal 0, and you kind of I kind of switched into that game, and lo and behold, Arsenal drew 2-2 with Chelsea. I don't know if you guys saw that game yesterday, or if you saw any of the games on the weekend.
Yeah,
I find,
I watched some other games. Okay.
I find
Right.
that was pretty cool.
I like the fact that some of the refereeing decisions they kept a consistency, especially where the handball is concerned.
With Saliba, yeah.
Right. But it still had some incidents that I try and remember which one. I had about two. That if it was Casemiro in that particular scenario, he was getting red,
Mm.
straight red, right? The Palmer the Chelsea Arsenal game, the Palmer tackle on Gabriel Jesus, right?
Ooh,
That that looked
how
red
is it?
card.
Is a red card? I didn't see it, but how bad was it?
It was a sliding tackle from the back, but Studs was up, right? On his heels,
No,
right?
Sure.
no VAR
That could
check.
have we have checked and played it on. And
Ooh,
he and Palmer still ended up coming back to score a penalty.
hmm, interesting. So VAR still being VAR.
And and I don't know what it is about these Spanish goalkeepers. They really have plenty blunders in them. I don't know. Ryan like he played himself back into the bench.
And then Robert Sanchez as well too. Yeah.
Right? And yeah. As I'm speaking of Robert Sanchez, right? There was when he clattered into is Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, you ain't really hear nothing about that. But let her be Onana. When Onana clattered into the Wolves player, that was all over social media for weeks.
Yeah, boy.
But you ain't seen nothing about that Sanchez one clattering into to Jesus.
Interesting. Okay. I can watch over them highlights because I only took in the second half when I got back home, right? So, CJ's, I heard you saw any of the games on the weekend that sparked your interest, or
Well, I was kind of on the road, but as I got Wi-Fi and I got updates, the Chelsea game looked very interesting. I was kind of surprised Arsenal came back with 2-0 down. I was thinking, well, that was it. But then Davidson Sanchez did a Davidson Sanchez. Like, that's crazy.
Not Davison Sanchez, that's Spurs.
Oh,
Robert
sorry.
Sanchez.
I
Yeah.
keep mixing them up. My bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Robert Sanchez, yeah.
yeah, Robert Sanchez, my boy. Although I don't think Madrid meant to score it. I could tell that was a cross. Like you could kind of tell, yeah, that was a cross. And the commentator said did him dirty, saying how like, well he didn't mean to score it, but he scored. It's like nah, but just game it now, but that man hasn't scored a goal since last year. Come now, please, just game it.
He hasn't scored a
Gentlemen, my
home goal.
takeaway.
I think the question that was asked was, did Mikhailo Madrid celebrate versus his old team? And I was kind of confused, and I kind of got it afterwards because obviously Mikhailo Madrid was linked heavily with Arsenal a year ago, and
He
he was
was on
supposed
the way.
Yeah, they
yeah,
had talked and everything.
yeah, that talks. He was posting on his Instagram and was on, lo and behold, Chelsea swooped in and paid 100 million, got their guy, right? So I think
My
Chelsea. I think Chelsea could have won that game 2-1 yesterday if it wasn't for the. Actually, I think they could have won it 3-1 because there was a through ball to Nicholas Jackson. Instead of taking a shot one time, he tried to round David Raya, and David Raya comfortably took the ball away from Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson, right? So, and obviously, if Robert Sanchez hadn't made that mistake, then could have been could have been a different story, right? Um,
Hmm.
yeah. What else went on this week, or what do we have to look?
listen, my takeaway from this weekend,
Yeah, this weekend.
that Newcastle side, that Newcastle side is going to upset the barrel in the top four or top six, as you might say, because this Newcastle side is getting results and not winning 1-0 and 2-0, right? They put, was it 4 or 5 they put on Crystal Palace this weekend? Crystal Palace, which at that point had a pretty stingy defense and were looking good defensively, right? This is the same Newcastle side that in their first Champions League campaign for about what 20 something years
Yep.
went to went to the San Siro and held AC Milan, went and put a licking on PSG, right? So everybody who is seeing them as well, Johnny come lately's with money. Don't forget the last part of that.
Let
With
me let me
money.
let me let me let me ask you guys a question. Everybody in the panel and everybody in the comics comments. Do you guys really consider PSG a big team, or is it just a team that has big money?
They just
Well,
have big
listen,
money.
they have big money. To be fair, you can say what you want about the French league. But at the end of the day, if you look at the players on that team, you expect those players to be able to show up on a given day and play well. You are not talking about below average players. You are
True.
still talking about names like Kylian Mbappe, right? You are still talking about that caliber of player. Yes, Messi is gone. Yes, Neymar is gone. That does not mean that the team can be looked past, regardless of how easy the French league is.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, PSG has had some stellar names like your Angel,
Ronaldinho.
your Angel Dim. I talking about what during the oil money, CJ, and yeah, they had
Oh,
Ronaldinho as well. Um, but in terms of when they got the Sheik in charge, right? Obviously, they got in the likes of Mbappe, Neymar, Di Maria, um,
Zlatan,
Zlatan. Um,
Messi.
you can say Lil Messi.
yeah, you can bring.
that short, the short fella who does the short fella who did his mistake for a goat, the beef farmer from Argentina. What's his name? Miss
Javier.
Penalty, right? Miss Penalty, right? Miss Penalty.
Oh, they even had they even brought in the likes of Javier Pastore, who was one of the best
Hmm.
um, attacking mids. I think they got Javier Pastore was at Napoli. I think so. or some
Yeah.
somebody else. Can't remember. And then they got Marquinhos. They even had Thiago Silva in defense from AC Milan. And Thiago Silva was considered one of the best center backs at that time. They brought in Buffon, even though his past is playing. They brought in Donnarumma. Yet they still can't. The guy that got to a Champions League final, by the end of the day, you'll always remember. You'll always remember the bride, not the bridesmaid, right? So
Hmm.
yeah. So as CJ said, and let's share the same opinion. I think PSG is a club with big money who can attract players because they are, yes, the biggest team right now in the French league, and they can attract players because of that. But in terms on the European stage,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts, guess?
Nah, I had to agree, right? They just always on the European stage they flatter to deceive whether it's Messi or Neymar there, right? And that is proof. It's just a small club with big money,
Yeah.
right? And if we're talking about Newcastle, to me, the one that have my attention right now is Aston Villa, right? I
Yeah,
watched
boy.
that game today, and I watched that game when they play against Brighton and put five on Brighton. Who is no six?
It
Who
was
you
six or
know
four.
doing Brighton that?
They
I
put
think it
six
was
on
six.
Brighton. They put six on
Yeah,
Brighton. They put four on West Ham today.
that team, that team plays together.
Okay.
Them is a huge threat.
And the BPSG same 4-1.
Wait, we talking Newcastle or Aston Villa?
Oh no, well, I was talking about Newcastle. Newcastle, where we thought they were going to struggle a little bit in Europe, they're thriving.
So is it possible that Aston Villa and Newcastle could get some sort of Champions League and Europa League football after the season based on how they're playing, or is it too early to tell?
No, I see
I
it's
would,
very
I
possible
would. It is
because the
possible
way we
if
playing,
we don't.
we not looking to
I
be
know,
anywhere higher than ninth, or tenth. The way we playing,
right?
we are playing like a bang average mid-table team.
Hmm.
But
That's how
but
we
listen,
playing.
we playing bang average, but we are also 6 points off the top, if I'm
Or we
not
6 points
mistaken.
off fourth place. I think we 6 points off
Fourth
fourth.
place.
Let me see. Hold
Hmm.
on.
All right,
Yeah.
six
Okay,
points
fair
off
enough.
fourth.
Let me get through some comments here. Courtney is saying that Robert Sanchez had a howler. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That back pass, and if Declan Rice had controlled instead of shoot first, I think Sanchez would have gotten a chance to save it. But no, Declan Rice did the smart thing and shoot one time. Right. Mark Lewis, thanks for joining, my brother. He's saying CJ Chelsea is shit, plain
Well, we know that.
simple.
Just confirm the points. Tottenham has to play Fulham tomorrow.
Yeah,
If Tottenham wins, they will go to 23 on top of the table, which
yeah.
will put us 8 points off the top. We are 5 points off fourth place.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Um, the ref, Darren, thanks for joining us. Saying PSG is a big team in a small league. I I agree, but let's not forget that before PSG had money, there were
It was
teams
Marseille.
there were teams like Marseille, Olympique Lyonnais when they had Benzema back in the day. Um, Bordeaux, who had Johan Gorkoif and Olivia Giroud came from Bordeaux, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I see you just said Marseille as well. To some extent, Montpellier and Nice.
Don't
Football.
forget the days. Don't forget the days when a certain AS Monaco had in the lineup
Yeah.
a
Yes,
young Thierry
The
Henry,
boy Radamel Falcao.
a young Thierry Henry, Then they had a young together with him. I think Anelka was there at the same time. It was Anelka, it was Henri, it was somebody else they had.
And plus,
And then,
a up and coming Anthony Martial.
yeah,
Yeah,
before we bought him, when you
Yeah.
mentioned
I
Falcao,
totally,
they had Falcao when he was doing pretty well,
I totally forgot. I
right?
totally forgot. Yes, Monaco had Falcao. Yeah, I know. AS Monaco back in the day when they ripped apart Arsenal had up and coming Martial, Berbatov. I was Falcao in the team that time. No,
Can't
Nah,
remember.
no. Falcao wasn't in the team
They
that
had
time. Falcao.
a young Mbappe with them.
Yes,
They had
the
a young,
young Kylian Mbappe.
I
I
think
think they
Mbappe.
sold after
I
they
think
sold
Mbappe.
Falcao to
I think
Atletico. They
Mbappe.
tried to get names.
I think Mbappe was after Martial. No,
Yeah,
Mbappe was after
Yeah,
Martial. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
because you only remember Martial has been here since,
Martial going on 10 years. Martial could
yeah,
be
boy,
Martial
LVG
next
first
year be ten
season.
years. Boy.
Yeah, LVG season, he bought Martial 2014.
And we still there's still that clause in Martial's contract. If he wins Ballon d'Or, we owe Monaco a fee. So good luck to that.
no, no, real funny. Real funny. The killer really
add
have
that
a
to the
man
list
here.
of add that to the list of things people will never see.
Yeah,
Imagine,
Yeah.
imagine a real terrible, terrible way. Killer have a mad yeah, a Benzema yeah.
yeah, boy. If Martial have if Martial have a Benzema, yeah, I mean, Lord, boy. Let
But
me get
you know, trying to pay that money for real, yes.
let me get let me get
A man in the comments saying if Ten Hag get his sack, he'll gladly take Leonardo Jardim or Hansi Flick.
we'll get to that comment later on. Mark Lewis is saying, nope, not a big team, just big money with big name underperforming players. Guess we're referring to PSG. Which perception? Thanks for joining us. Saying, guaranteed Ten Hag doesn't see Christmas if this continues. Another new manager bumps incoming. Um,
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't.
well,
I don't.
are we all
Can I
hearing the
comment
same
to that?
rumors about? Yeah, go ahead, go bro, go.
Let me before you comment, yes, because I want to get everybody's perception, no pun intended, on this comment here. But let me get through some of these other comments here as well. Um, the ref is saying the French league always had big names, but as a league and on the European stage, they are small. It's true. French league did produce the likes of like the Anelkas and the Thierry Henrys and the Ronaldinhos and Olivier Girouds and obviously Mbappe and what's not, right? So, um, which perception is saying if Ten Hag do get the sack, I'll gladly take Leonardo Jardim or Hansi Flick. Um, that sounds like a step backwards in my opinion. And then last comment, Jeffrey Griffith, thanks for joining, is saying, isn't that clause removed when a player signs a new contract? Uh,
Mm.
you could be
I
on. You
don't
could.
think so. I don't know. It depends on. There are some clauses I think that could possibly stretch out for the length of a player's time with a club, because it was part of the purchase agreement with the club. I
Okay.
don't know if that's how this was set up, right? I think clauses that become null and void is clauses that the club give you in one particular contract. Remember, that clause with them was part of their selling contract with us. It wasn't part of his contract with us. It was their contract with us, right? So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think that that will go for the length of the time the player is with us.
Interesting. Okay. I'll do some research on that, Jeffrey, with regards to the comment made where if Mbappe had to win Ballon d'Or, we have to pay some fee to Monaco, right? But let's get back to which perceptions comment where they are saying guaranteed Ten Hag doesn't see Christmas if this continues. Another new manager bounce incoming. It is a pretty It's a pretty wild comment. I kind of get why you're making the comment, but it's a pretty wild comment, right? I think Cass and Zahir both wanted to chime in, but I'll start with Cass first. What's your take on this comment with regards to Ten Hag? If he keeps up with these type of
If it's
performances, could be sacked by Christmas.
if it's if it's something that does irritate me about fans in general, right? Is this attitude that to always fire a manager when things going wrong, right? Yes, I know football is a result business, right? But most times, most times, the fault is nowhere near the manager, right? I could tell you to go out and do this and do that, right? And it's up to you, the player, supposed to do exactly what I instructed you to do on the field, right? There are players who Ten Hag trust, right? There are players who play for the badge, right? We expected Ten Hag to perform miracles last season, and he did, right? This season, we expected him to kick on, but you cannot kick on, and I don't want to use didn't want to use this as an excuse, but he hasn't had a starting 11 available to him to any of the games we have played this season, right? And still, there were players he wanted to get out and players to get in. If you don't provide the manager with the tools, you expect him to do miracles 2 years in a row. We need to show some patience. But all you ridiculously with if results continue to nag out by Christmas. We need to show some patience. Come on. And then I'm
My
then
take on
as
this.
I know it was uh,
No, no, finish up, Kes. I thought you was done.
I know what you're going to talk about why and I saw it too on Transfer News Live. They are worse than
It,
the sun and the mirror put together.
it seems like Paul Mitchell is a free agent, and that is somebody that we may be looking to bring in as director of football. If everything goes through with this Mr. Radcliffe and his 25% stake, right? In my humble opinion, if you're going that way to bring in a gentleman who is miles ahead of what we currently have portraying himself as a director of football, then you have to give the current manager time underneath a proper director of football above him to see what they can do together. Because he's been operating with his hands tied. I honestly feel Ten Hag has been doing manager work, coach work, director of football work, everybody work, scout work,
Scouting
everything. Right? He has literally been a 10 Hag. He had to do 10 people work. So give him a chance to focus now on the team, how he wants to focus on the team. You have to give this new director of football at least 2 transfer windows, the January and next summer, working with Ten Hag to see what changes they're going to make in the recruitment process, the type of players we go after, the type of players we actually get, how they're going to go about clearing out the ones we want gone, and what sort of results that's going to lead to before you get to the point of saying, well, here what, we give the manager time, we gave him better people above him and around him, and he still couldn't cut it. And if, bro, by this time next year, the man still can't cut it, unfortunately, the man still can't cut it. That's how I see it.
Thank you.
Also, I could add something. Even if you're going to add Jardim, what you gonna do with the same setup Eric have? Like, let me be real. Like, come on. The thing is, not saying that Eric could do better. Yes, Eric needs to make better choices. Not saying no to that. But at the same time, what is asking him and doing what our next manager going to do? Because one, he's going to find out that some of these players are not his style. Some of these players would adapt his style. So now he has to know one a new set of 11 that he's not going to get, that he won't get one time. And then there's a next system of changing our style again for our next manager. And what does it even do? What does that do
Wasting
for?
money.
It's waste of money. Oh, you want to do that? No. For me, I'm not hopeful about with the Glazers staying 25%. But if you're getting Paul Mitchell, which I've always wanted, I'm happy for. And in some weird moment, I don't even want to incorporate it, but in some weird moment, the Glazers say, you know what? We'll stick with Ten Hag. We're bringing Paul Mitchell. And I know, might as well, you know what? We'll give away the sporting direction. We just want to own the club. Great. But how are you going to bring in Paul Mitchell with our next manager who now has to offload players that might be hard to sell because remember we still might have no, we might not have our
We
Murto and I'm from if they stay. But if we keep them, that's gonna be our next problem. So might as well stick with this one and on top of it, from watching certain scenes in the in Eric Ten Hag tenure, I think is the lack of squad depth that's hurting him now and with so much injuries and from that last season, men not gonna play 100% football. I think if he got the squad depth he had now, if he got the players he needed, I think it would have been different. But who knows? But keep Eric. Let me keep Eric now.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
What makes people actually feel that if these men mad enough to bust and hard through, them going after a Jadem or a Flick, you think them want somebody with them fellas kind of experience muddying their waters? Take it from me and you heard it here first. Anytime they bust and hard through, it's flicking Graham Potter in we ways.
I gonna give my opinion before we go to the comments again because I kind of share the sentiments of you guys because Ten Hag. Okay, reverse. I will judge Ten Hag after his 3 year tenure at Manchester United. I'll judge him then. But until then, Ten Hag has not been given a full set of players to choose from, even from his first season, even till now. Right? Forget suspensions. Forget a Casemiro suspension. Whatever. Ten Hag has been unlucky with regards to injuries with some of these players at Manchester United. Right? Am I saying that the Premier League is different from your La Liga and your Serie A when it comes to players getting more rest? Yes, but at the end of the day, the other 19 Premier League teams have to go through the entire same thing, right? Now, I will start to judge
All right,
Ten
go
Hag
ahead.
when we have a fully fit squad. When he has when he has a headache of players to choose from your Regulon, Juan Basaka, Kobe Manu, Lissandro Martinez, um, Rafael Varane, all players that have been out that are potential first team players that Ten Hag could choose from, right? So I don't think Ten Hag will be gone by Christmas, but maybe which perception thinks so, right? Let me get through some of these comments here. Mark Lewis is saying, how many managers will we change before we realize the players are the problem?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with that per se. Some players are stubborn in their playing ways. Some players play because they're picked on the first team all the time, but that's a conversation for another time. Mark Lewis is saying, well
Absolutely,
said,
yeah.
Kess. Jeffrey Griffith is saying, getting rid of managers when the common denominator is the same handful of players. Still, there are there who have thrown past managers under the bus. And then which perception is coming back saying Ten Hag refused Ragnick's help as sporting director, so that's on him. Well, I mean, if Ten Hag refused Ragnick's help, then Ten Hag saw potential in possibly somebody else that could be better as a sporting director.
How
Just because just because
how
somebody
is it?
just because somebody offered you help, that doesn't automatically mean I'm going to make them in a position next to me per se. That help could have been effective, or that help could have been destructive, right? What were you going to say, I guess?
Uh,
How is it Tenak's choice to choose Ragnick as sporting director? How?
on top of it too, he
Tenak
was
is
asked.
basically Tenak is go ahead, go
He
ahead.
was asked, and on top of it too, the Austria offered him a job.
Yeah, Austria football, um, whatever, offered him a job as their head coach, right? So
Yeah, and on top of it, let's be real. After he said how the open heart surgery and things need to be taken serious, do you think the board would have kept him? No, because think about it. They said they didn't like the Sheikh Jassim because when Sheikh Jassim said he would have bring the club back to former glory, they didn't like it because of the word and they felt
Yeah,
insulted by it.
yeah.
So why you think? You think they're gonna be okay with Ralph Ragnar? Come here, come now, dog. Come now. Be real. Be real now. So
Listen,
no, that is not on Eric Ten Hag.
number one,
before
yeah,
let me
listen, look here.
before I go to you guys with regards to the sporting director, it's interesting that CJ brought up how things are phrased, right?
Mhm.
CJ just mentioned that Sheikh Jassim said he will bring the club back to the glory days, which kind of indicates that the club is not where it's supposed to be, which means the club is not at the same level as your Barcelona, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Bayern Munich. Just out of curiosity, I won't get the cast and Zahir, but I can still stick to CJ. Just out of curiosity, CJ, why would the Glazers reject that sort of wording per se when it's kind of true? Is it offensive? Is it triggering them?
They don't want to look embarrassed. That's all. Think about it. Nobody wants to look embarrassed, even if they do something wrong. And it probably hurt because it was true. There's truth to it. They can't say that the club is in its glory days. Let's be real. If they say yes, they'll be lying, and I'll be them saving face. So, in my opinion, they were mad at because it was the truth. It felt insulting to them. Not that it was triggering or offensive, but no, they were insulted by the truth. So, to me, when he said that, when he said, well, Ralph was kicked out because of Eric, no, no. How if they're mad at a man who's going to put an extra eight, the double the price over how much United was worth because of certain wording. What do you think they're gonna do to Ralph? So
But
no,
CJ, I find that so petty though. The thing that's the
it
thing.
is.
I
His
find it so petty.
ego, the ego got hurt.
Yep. Hurt ego. Let's be real. If we look at history, hurt ego has led to a lot of big events. Let's be real. It
Right.
happens.
For it to
Cass,
be hurt ego, this is my thing.
Cass and Zahir, I know you had opinions on the Ralph Ragnar issue, and I probably went on another tangent with regards to the wording. I don't know if you guys want to go back to the whole Ralph Ragnar issue, or you want to start a new topic with regards to the whole
Like, I'll
wording.
tie everything. I'll tie everything in right here for me.
Yeah,
While I think with the average person who owns something and has been given stewardship of guiding something like Manchester United, which has such a storied and successful history. While I think the average rational thinking person who loves the club and is a fan of the club would have hurt egos hearing a man say, bring it back to glory. We are owned by people who are not fans of our club, who did not put any money out of their pocket to buy our club, who ruined our club by sinking it into debt. And then they had their lucky Ed Woodward utter a line years ago that results on the field does not determine how commercially successful this club is. All they care about is the bag, plain and simple, right? When the Sheikh says he's going to bring it back to the glory, it's not about hurt egos or butt hurt for them, It's about breads, them going and spend money. When Ragnick say, oh, Mahat, let me go back to Ragnick. When Ragnick started talk, the real talk, they realized if we leave that man there, and we bring in somebody like Ten Hag who is competent enough to work with that man, they then cut it into the bottom line, because they're going to start to fix things that we really don't give a shit about and don't want to spend money on to fix. End of story. The mere fact you could watch a club that was valued at just around 3 billion on Forbes and tell a man you want double that tells me all you care about is the bag. It have no butt to it, it have no ego, it have no nothing there. It is plain about the money. You know what embarrassed them? You know what hurt them? The Super League fiasco. Because they was running that down for the money. And when the jam hit them, they had to save face with that. And they come out with all kind of party show about wanting to be involved and fan involvement scheme and fan share all that bullshit. Water under the bridge now. They were willing to take the money and run. However, they seeing something coming down the road, new Champions League format. If the thing work how it's looking like it will work, up to 5th place on the table will be in the Champions League, possibly, right? They're seeing just now TV deals going to be up for renegotiation again, right? They're seeing what the commercial value of the club is.
But Zahir, if do you see Manchester United again top 5?
But you see, for them, all right, look at what they're going to lose, right? I think the payoff for being inside the Champions League is about 50 million, right?
That's one player, but yeah.
That's right. That's one player, yeah. But they don't care about that 50 million. They just care about jersey sales. They just care about commercial partnerships. That is what they care about, right? So they're looking down the road and they're saying, if we could continue being as commercial as we can, while not spending money on certain things, in about 3 to 4 to 5 years, if somebody else want to come and buy this club, we go get we 6 or we 7 billion and we go right out. That is all they want to do because they look at our club the same way they look at their American teams, the franchise model in the States.
Yep.
Look at
Correct.
one single team. When is the last time anybody could remember the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl? Or even reach a Super Bowl final? But yet they are one of the most valuable sports franchises in the world.
Same here, and same here as hockey as Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs are a bunch of shit, but they're still the most valuable franchise in NHL.
And the Dallas Cowboys makes millions for Jerry every year.
Yeah. I think the Maple Leafs sell it based on that hockey jerseys are style, and people just like they legit. It's a brand that people who don't watch hockey, they just wear it. So yeah, Maple Leafs really haven't been doing
that. American football is like a religion to them people.
Yes.
People will be Cowboys fans for generations.
Correct.
Right?
I want Zahir before you go on your
rant. That's what they want.
I want to get Kesson. So much information to soak in, Kess, but I want to hear your opinion. I don't know if it's on Ragnick or with regards to the Glazers being offended or triggered or being egotistical about the words Sheikh Jassim will bring the club back to glory days.
Zahir said it in a nutshell there. He said everything there. Right? Because that is exactly it, is what coming down the road. That, and I honestly believe, even if the Sheikh did go to 7 billion, they still wasn't going to sell. They were stringing them. To me, it was stringing him along. Right? Them wasn't going to sell because, as again, what coming, right? It's more. It will be more than that, right? And well, it's looking like they're leaning towards overpaying Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I
And
hope practice.
Radcliffe come in, he come in with the idea that he thinking he could get them out in 3 years. I
Boy,
try, I
boy,
try.
boy. You know what he said practice? I feel if he doesn't get it, we gonna end up in some court battle. There is no way.
It will
There's
be
no way.
nasty. It is gonna be nasty, and another distraction that we do not need.
Yeah, that because if he doesn't get them out in 3 years, or they try to go and do something smart, and he gets vexed and he want to carry it to court, that's going to be a next problem. I don't even know why Ragnar feel he could have do that, boy. But whatever, yes.
But let me ask you a question, Cass.
Yeah.
Are you going to give Sir Jim a chance per se, in terms of like, because what I'm being told is, or what I'm reading is that Sir Jim Radcliffe's 25% will be only directed towards footballing aspects, so transfer window and anything Manchester United related when it comes to the footballing part.
Until I see that in black and white, I will believe it. I won't believe it. Sorry,
Yeah.
right? Put
Until
that
a public
in black
statement
and
is made.
white, right?
Is it
You
is it
see,
Because
is it is
we
it
might have 25%, right? But people keep saying, and I've heard reporters say it, that the Glazers sell 25% of their stake. No, brother man, it's 12.5% of theirs and 12.5% from the shares that were publicly tradable for the supporters. So they have their deficit. And I am pretty sure that the 12.5% that belongs to the Glazers family is shares that allocated to the four of them who wanted to sell and cut and run. The
Hmm.
two who
yeah,
want to stay and milk the money ain't giving up nothing. So
all I have, bro.
even if over the next 3 years, Sir Jim gets his hands on more, they will be taking that out of what the other four have so they could pay off the other four to bust out. They want to milk us dry. Bottom line. That is why they came up with the way they bought the club in the first place. And if people feel, people like these conspiracy theories, right? But tell me this, if there was ever a damning indication of how the powers that be in England are anti-Manchester United, when we got purchased the way we were purchased, after we get thinking that you decide to review and outlaw selling a club like that after the horse molt, so nobody else had to suffer that, but we had to take that job. Miss me with all your blasted fairness and non-bias. Eh? It's hatred all around.
Yeah,
um fair enough.
I,
I I told another United fan, let's say Sir Jim Ratcliffe is successful in the 25% acquisition. He can't fool me with this whole first year bullshit. And by that I mean, let's say he does well in the first year of giving Eric Ten Hag what he wants and bringing in the players, and that's in the first year. He can't fool me with that. You gotta do it for the next 3 years, right?
Yeah. It has to be
So
consistent. It has to be a consistent 3 years. It really has to be a consistent 3 years. Like
let, me,
I ain't saying
let me
no,
say this.
but I think what's so wild about it though, like the crazy part about it, when you think about how this whole thing went down, you mean to tell me, and this is show you how greed really is a deadly sin, you know? Show you how
oh
greed really is deadly. You mean
oh
to tell me you are getting $8 billion. Now all your I think it's probably because I am everyday man. You give me 500,000 no to sell my PS5 and TV. I'm gonna say, dog, hey, roll in, run through.
yeah.
I will get a new one. It's all right. Yours 500,000 no is going to do so much for
But
anybody here.
what currency are in CJTT or US?
Than US. Hell, US.
Oh, match breaks, brother. Them fellas talking pounds, brother. So you take your 500,000 pounds by 5 million TT. So go with the pounds.
Done. That is not even a problem. I taking that dog. I taking that. Go. Go. You want the sneakers too? Great. I taking it. You mean to tell me 8 billion, right? 8 billion. You're not getting anything else. 8 billion. By the time you get 8 billion, you're good. You already set for life. You even set for more life. You set for the afterlife. You set for reincarnation, dog. You gone. It's all right. But you telling me no because what? You were more and your ego was hurt. So now we have greed and ego, the two sins involved. And now because of that, a whole club is going to suffer. A whole team is going to suffer. A whole fan base who put money into this. Yes, money is put into this is going to suffer. All because your whole ego and because you want more money is good. That's crazy to me. Like I think about that sometimes in the day and I tell myself, yo, that's real crazy, and wild enough. There's one to come out here saying the fans are to be patient with us. No, you don't owe my you don't deserve my patience. That's why I always tell people I'm not even going to like to say I want to buy something Manchester United related brand wise. No, it's not happening. I'm good, G, because you don't care
Well,
about me.
Kes, answer me this. I I can't believe that Mr. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is really a fan of this club. Because here's what: if I am a fan of the club, you understand, and I want to buy the club, and the idiots who run the club tell me find $6 billion, and I know I do have $6 billion. I know that the men who run in the club running the club into the ground. If I'm a fan of the club, I know that, right? I've been following what's going on. I've been watching the results. I've been seeing what's going on. If a next man come in the picture with the money to buy them out, and when he done buy them out, pay off the debt, build over the stadium, fix the facilities, develop the area around Manchester. If I'm a fan of the club, I go in and muddy the waters because my vanity project is to own piece of the club. I will let the man buy the club and somewhere down the road negotiate with them owners for a cheaper 25% or 30% or whatever stake because they would own everything.
And
They
the
might be
sheik would
willing
have
to listen.
and the sheik would have probably gladly collaborated and talked to him man about some shares.
Let me
Bro, you're
let me let me
linking
let me get
Helios,
let me
you're
get some
linking
comments in.
Helios with that.
Let me get a couple of comments in. Which perception is saying Man United market value is 2.5 billion. Sheikh Jassim offered 6 billion cash plus $1 billion stadium and community development as well as new players. Women's team upgrade. The Glazers refuse. Right?
And to wipe the debt. You keep forgetting that.
Yeah, and to wipe the debt as well too. Right? Anyone? Just before I go through these comments, I think that with regards to the project that the Sheik presented, it kind of exposed the Glazers, and that's why the Glazers kind of refused. But we'll get to that later. Um, Jeffrey Griffith is saying anyone that puts money in while the Glazers still there is foolish because they're paying the Glazers bills of failures. Yeah, true. And at the end of the day, just to play devil's advocate, Jeffrey, I do agree with what you're saying, but how do you explain to kids? And I think I asked this to the guys last week.
Yeah,
Well, too, right? How do you explain to a parent? How does a parent explain to kids you cannot have the new Manchester United jersey? Or how do you explain to kids again you cannot go to the game this weekend, right? Talk to us, Jeffrey, and tell us what will you say about that, right? Which perception is saying this personal from the Glazers build the bonfire, right? Courtney is saying this point here. He is a fan, but he is a businessman first.
correct.
Yeah, true. And then last comment from Courtney is saying the commercial arm is succeeding. So despite being a fan, he is still a businessman first, right? I don't know if Zahir was on the podcast last week. I know CJ, I think CJ and Kess were on.
Nah, I wasn't done.
Right, but the question I posed
Uh,
to both CJ and Kess, Kess, you were on last week, right?
no, I don't think I was there Wednesday.
No, last week, as in last weekend, last Sunday. I think we were on last week
I
Sunday, no?
remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
yeah.
was. Yeah. Anyway, I will probably pose the same question to Zahir as well too.
It was me and your boy.
Um, Zahir, is there any reason for Manchester United? Is there any reason for the Glazers to sell Manchester United, given your analysis of Dallas Cowboys? Let's say.
You see, it comes back to like you say, right? The only thing I can really see their pride with is just if they really build up a hatred for how the fan base has been Glazers out all this while, knowing that they were never accepted, they were never loved, they never even get a warm reception when they buy over the club. Let me put it that way. They were public enemy number one from day numero uno, right? There were sections of the fan base, like the 58 or something like that. One of those things are called. I can't remember which one it is. That have been hounding them every step of their 17 years or 20 years, however long it's been that they've been here, right? So I honestly believe that they have no intention to do what is right by this club or for this club. They are simply holding out until they find a billionaire who is ready to give them what they want. And that is the only time they will sell, right? All of this was to try and find a way to bring investment into the club, which Sir Jim fell for and is putting investment into the club, right? We hope that the money he paid them would be used for something proper, but they're just probably going to line their pockets, right? When he could take the money that he given them for the 25% and fix the stadium and do a little upgrading. But no, why would they do that, right? It remains to be seen what's going to happen. I, for one, am not holding my breath. I'm not going to sit down here with any kind of hope, right? I will just sit down here and realize to myself, in all the time since the women's team came out, just as a side point quick, in all the players that they've bought, players that they've sold, players that they've loaned, they never heard a single dollar value attributed to a single transaction that went on with the women's team. As far as I concerned, them they'll probably pay peanuts compared to men like Maguire and Sancho. Yet them girls turn around today and put five on a side. When last we hit a side five? When last? Right? They're working for dog money. The facility is not getting upgraded. Right? We lose two of our best players and still holding we own. We run PSG women's team when they come down here. Right? And almost beat them. Come na man. And mind you, is the same Glazers that shut down the women's program when they took over. They shut
Yeah,
down the women's arm of the club
Yeah, I heard so.
and
Yeah.
only ended up bowing to public pressure and whatnot and things when they decided to start it back. Right? So if they can't give a damn about nothing, I can't give a damn about them, brother. I gonna say something here. I mean, I know we the old talk and in the band we just take some real creative liberties, eh? So for any lawyer who might be listening out there and think, just know that I am not a businessman, therefore I was not going to be in the position to actually do this. But boy, in a fantasy world, if I was in the position of the fake, and I pick up the phone and call Sir Jim and say, oh, hey, watch me. We're going and pay them for 25%. 1 point something billion, and giving you three in your pocket to back out. One time. And
Fair
doubling
enough.
your offer, back out. And when you back out and I get, brother, come back to the table. We go organize something.
Let
So
me get
done.
let me get a few more comments here. Jeffrey is saying, "I'm giving it to them real, no sugar coating, shaving cream." And then Jeffrey saying, "Investment there is different compared to the EPL."
Yeah.
I guess he's comparing NFL and EPL, right? Guys, it's been an hour and 15 minutes or hour and 16 minutes. We've had a really good conversation today with regards to a whole set of things, man. But no, this is what Sundays are about. No No structure in terms of topics. We just come to talk about the club we love, amongst other things as well too. Right? Um, Before we close the bar, any final thoughts? Could be what we were talking about. Could be something totally different. Any final thoughts on anything?
Well, um, concerning Paul Mitchell,
Yep.
right?
Okay.
He has openly said he would love to come at Manchester United, right?
Okay.
To be that director. In the last 10 years, in the last 10 years, the biggest single-handedly signing that Manchester United should make right now is a director of football, right?
Okay.
But he has also said he's actually reluctant to come because of the inept board members that currently circulate in Manchester United, like the Murtough and um, rename the ones we know about,
Yeah.
right? Richard Arnold.
Yeah. Richard Arnold. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if things going in Ratcliffe favor, I think Ratcliffe is aware of that, and the if he gets with his percentage gets to run the sporting aspect of Manchester United, he would need to clean house first before bringing in Mitchell.
Quick,
Any final thoughts out here?
quick question. A certain Wayne Mark Rooney is back in English football management. He has taken over the reins of Birmingham City, who are currently seventh in the championship. Lost 1-0 to Middlesbrough this weekend, who incidentally is managed by a certain Michael Carey. Let us say either of these gentlemen put in the work, get their clubs promoted, and not just get them promoted, manage to keep them in the Premiership consistently for, let's say, 3 to 4 seasons. Do we start seeing them as a potential future Manchester manager?
You say keep them in the Premiership or promote them to the EPL?
Well, they're in the Championship right now.
Yeah.
Next step up is the Premiership,
Correct. Yeah.
right? So let us say one out of these guys, or both of them, manage to get their Championship teams into the Premiership and keep them in the Premiership consistently for, let's say, a 3 to 5 year run, right? Do we start thinking of them as potentially inheriting the reins at Old Trafford one day?
I see why not.
Um,
Is that,
I
is
see
that
where
still
you're
a
going,
possibility?
but I see where you're going, but I want Ten Hag to succeed at Manchester United, right? So
Now, I don't have a problem with that too, but I don't expect a foreign manager to stay the kind of years Sir Alex or anybody else would have stayed, right? Some other big European club, if he is successful with us, some other big European club will come call, and he may be tempted to leave. Yeah.
Question though, I would say foreign. How long Pep stay with City? No catch.
Pep with City about 5 or 6 years now,
6 years.
or, or,
Oh
or maybe 7.
2015, 16.
yeah, 2015,
Like it's
16. Yeah,
going on 7 to 8, right? I
yeah.
think Pep is only going to stay if he wins another Champions League, or let's say he does something that nobody else has done, like a quadruple
Pet is scheduled to leave.
or
Has said that he's going to leave Manchester United after the
Man
2024
City.
2025
Manchester City.
season. So
Well, he's saying that, but next year when it's wrong in that season, and they win a quadruple or something, and Haaland decide he wants to stay if Pep's staying. Uh, Once Pep have his choice, he will stay. And then too, it all depends on who's giving him an out. He is only going to go to a club where he can get what he got at Barca and City. And until he ain't that, he's going to stay right there. Because I don't think Spain going to roll out the chair and tell him come and be the national manager. He don't want that kind of smoke that going on with that federation right now.
No.
Any final thoughts, CJ, before we wrap up?
Um, at this point, I just observing to see what happens next. I hope something good happens, but at the same time, I wanna put myself under sort of pressure. So for me personally, let's see what happens. Let's see what goes down with Ratcliffe. Let's see what goes on with the team. 2 wins on the fly. I mean, wasn't the best type of wins, but let me see what the manager wants to do and hope that inspires you guys on Tuesday. Aside from that, I have nothing else to really say.
All right, fair enough. No. Great conversation today. Um,
Yeah,
the bar is about to close. Yes, Zahir and CJ, thanks for contributing to Ole Talk on a Sunday. I'm your host, Big Phil, and we are out.
yeah. Let's.
Hey, if you appreciate what we're doing here at the United Hour, please like, please subscribe, and let's grow this community.